And welcome, everyone. We're happy to be here with you again for our final roundtable of GatherVerse 2025 Money Summit Day 1. We're certainly ready to be able to move forward and chop a lot of wood here. We have quite a bit to unpack. Roundtable panelists, we ask that you please mute your mics as we have a lot to be able to go through and we want to be uninstructed as much as we can. We're going to be moving almost in a rapid fire succession, so we please ask you to be mindful of the time length of which you're going to be speaking. When it comes to us being able to start, what I want us to do is for each person to let us know, hey, Avery, we see you. We want to let everyone know who you are, what you do briefly, and what inspired you to be here today. I'm going to kick off and go with Golden. Welcome back.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. So, my name's Golden. I'm a founder of House of Gold. I help founders, creators, and leaders build clarity, confidence, and long term legacy in their work. So, I teach them how to create go to market systems that are simple, human centered, and rooted in customer psychology. I also have a background as a certified AI intelligence practitioner. Change management is my lane, along with strategies where I guide people to refine their ideas, document their success, and build a lasting digital legacy online.
And what inspired you to be here, Golden?
What inspired me to be here is just the gathering of community of out of the box topics that aren't being talked about in the mainstream of the internet and things like that. And really just honing back into that human centered conversation around change, around evolution, and ultimately just connecting with other like minded individuals.
Excellent. We're happy to have you and thank you so much. And Lauren, we'll head over to you as well. And welcome to everyone at GatherVerse.live that's with us as well. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren. This is Avery, and we are happy to be here. I'm a producer and an emerging technologist. I have a master's in virtual reality, and I've done a lot of different work in the industry. I just recently got my drone pilot's license, so I'm excited about that. I love just getting my hands on the newest, latest, greatest technology. I have an Insta360 that I really enjoy producing content with. And I'm excited to be here because this is probably coming up close to 10 or so of the summits that I've been to now. And I walk away every time feeling inspired and connected with people in my industry. And I think having these conversations is how we grow and inspire each other. And yeah, it's really just empowering to be here.
Lauren, we're happy to have you once again, and thank you. Dr. Morris, we're so happy to see you once again as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Messina Latifa Morris, or also known as Dr. Mulder of Minds or Dr. Mom. I'm an educator, an innovator, a metaversity architect, and the mother of 5 sons. I am a professor at Morehouse College, a biomolecular chemist by training, and I created the world's first metaversity and stand here as the first metaversity director in the world, having brought to life over 200 metaversities with tech companies in the industry. I build worlds where underestimated people don't belong. They lead. My life's work is turning overlooked genius into generational power, whether it's in XR, AI, STEM, education, or access. I'm also an autism mom, so I have a heart for the neurodivergent, those who are unable to voice what they need. I believe in standing in the gap for them and representing them. Today, I'm excited about being a part of this GatherVerse Money Summit. One, because I am a product of an HBCU. I went to Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia. I am just a young Black girl from Decatur, Georgia, who has risen to the tops of the ed tech ranks in the work that I have done for 2,500 Morehouse men at Morehouse College, making them the first metaversity in the world. And what I do know is that today,
Before we go too deep, Dr. Morris, because we're going to save all that, but we got to move forward with these introductions. If you could just keep it as brief as possible.
we get to name what's been hidden and funding that has been ignored.
Welcome. We definitely welcome you once again, Dr. Morris. Judith, we're on to you. Judith?
Hello, good evening. Can everyone can you hear me?
Judith, we're going to bring you back to our production team. We have a bit of a microphone issue going on. Carlos, you're on.
Thank you. Can you hear me clearly? So,
Perfect.
hi, my name is Carlos Clay. I'm the CEO and founder of 360 Degrees Group and operations manager of Black and Brown Founders, where we work with business nationally. And I work with a lot of businesses primarily on structure, infrastructure, systems, scaling from start to finish, depending what your system is. And my background, my background is operations management. So I have a very skilled background understanding how money works from an operational standpoint, where to scale it, where to start, where to invest, not to invest, when to invest and when not to invest. And that's what I do primarily now. My background, 20 plus years in technology, 20 years by operations management. I've helped organizations raise millions of dollars in resources through different programming for the community overall, to support nonprofits and different organizations. And the reason why I'm here is because I believe that we're in a time and era where money's coming very important. And as we shift, we have to better budget our money better. We have to better utilize the money better. We have to look at money as a tool and not just an object of spending, but it's also a tool to invest in your business from a personal level and a business level.
Sure.
And just overall, just making sure that we have strong financial systems and financial management so that way we're prepared for when things happen.
Sure. Carlos, we're happy to have you and welcome back. Spyro, please.
Hello, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me good. Greetings to all the sides of the globe. Christopher, thank you one more time for the invitation. It's a great honor being here. So my name is Spyro Orestis. I come from Greece. I'm located currently in the Netherlands. I'm the founder of a one-man consultancy firm called GatherVerse. My background lies in mechanical engineering, biosystems engineering, IT, creative strategies. I'm also a music producer and also a music player at a rock band located in Greece, but hopefully will go globally, and also a painter myself. So I consider myself a creative strategist with a systems thinking background.
Spyro, what inspired you to be here today with us? Spyro, what inspired you to be here today?
I'm sorry. The inspiration is the community-based learning that I get to have and obtain from these sessions. Also, the inspiration that I drive from each individual and the stories that everyone have to bring and their hero's journey approach to many things that they are tackling daily with their ventures and also their talents. And I'm not going to lie, also you, Christopher, was my inspiration, and I've been following you for a long time, and also GatherVerse. So why not attending this year's GatherVerse?
We're so happy to have you once again, and thanks for the shout out. I appreciate it. We definitely chop wood. Ian, you're up.
All right. Thank you for having me here again. I've been so honored to be invited many times here. So I'm Ian Kang from South Korea, who's been educating people, like students, with very innovative education methods based on cognitive science and AI, and which could enable students to learn for very affordable tuition costs. So, and also I'm very lucky that I think I would say I'm one of those unseen like a person or business that has been kind of revealed by GatherVerse. So in that sense, I really appreciate it. And then I have a lot to talk about today. So thank you again. Yeah.
Ian, you often have a lot to talk about, and many of you I know personally also have a lot to talk about, and you're in the right place to have a lot to talk about. But before we get there, Judith, we're going to give you another shot at this. Hopefully your mic is good. Talk to us. Your mic, please. You're muted. Judith, we can't hear you. You may need to check your microphone attachment. I think it's because you're plugged in or not plugged in. You want to unplug.
Okay. Can everyone hear me? Good evening. Yep. Okay. Hello. Hi, my name is Judith Ifezwe. Good evening from Nigeria. It's evening here. And I am the Chief Training Officer of Speak 10 Times Better. It's my brand. I'm the founder and the executive director. So what I do is I help people build confidence. I help them speak 10 times better. And I've also worked with a lot of people that stammers, that stutters. So I help them to tame stammering. I mean, because we can't totally clear it off. So we can go from someone that stammers like 80% of the time to 6 or 7% of the time. So that's what I do. Straight to the point, confidence building, speaking 10 times better, and taming stammering. That's what I do. And it's an honor to be here today with amazing people on this panel. So I can't wait to dive in.
Judith, we're very happy to have you, and thank you so much. You know, we think about and we talk about investments. We speak thematically to what this summit is about when we talk about money. We talk about capital, funding those who get funding and funding those who are unseen often when it comes to the vestiges of being able to procure some type of monetary effort and schematic to be able to join to what it is that you're building and hyperscaling, whether it's an AI platform, an immersive body, or if you're building anything under the banner of startup founder capacity. We think about those who are unseen to the spirit of this particular roundtable and so much thematic to so much of what we're talking about today, especially particularly on the day of Giving Tuesday. What I want to do, roundtable, is I want to be able to get your thoughts, express thoughts in a very quick fire succession, if you will, because we have a lot to unpack. We will be on topic and off topic. So prepare for that, please. And I will be jumping around. But I want to leverage and to be able to drive as much as I can from you. Golden, I'm coming in hot with you. To the question that's on this in the box, I want us to ignore that for a moment. What I want to do is I want to talk about when we talk about funding in this modern, contemporary, to our time world of AI hyperscale. When we talk about investments in capital, what do brands need to know in order to position themselves to even look the part as a point of reference or to remain discoverable, to even being seen in this very crowded space?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And I do work with a lot of people delivering pitches for funding and to be seen. So it's definitely a huge positioning to really factor in. One thing that people overlook is the fact that you have data that you're not using. So that's coming from your clients, your customers, perhaps how you launched an event. There's so much data there that a lot of people aren't using to position themselves for visibility online. A lot of people don't know what even visibility means. And ultimately, it just means being seen, being put in the right audience so they can actually see what you have to offer and what your services are. So I would definitely recommend people who already have clients, who already sell products or have a business or anything of that nature, is to tap into their testimonial network, put that in the front center, put that out there, pitch themselves to be visible on media outlets, websites, other people talking about the same thing they're talking about, getting on podcasts. These are really inexpensive way to get visible. Marketing and ads is not needed, especially in time of AI right now, where we can actually be more authentic and human based into positioning ourselves for visibility. These are some great tips for someone to actually be building their credibility online and boosting that social proof.
You know, I find that very interesting. I'm going to do a follow-up with you. When we talk about building up social proof, why? Because I find it very interesting at today's present times. Listen, folks, the ones that are out here, organic to me is the way to go. People are spending a tremendous amount of money in paid media, paid advertisement, and they're going nowhere fast. If we look at it, the results, and they speak for themselves. But if you have brand visibility, viability, and you look the part, and you're building out what Golden just expressed as social proof, to me, that's inherently more important, and it's authentic. Your numbers may not be as high as you actually want to see them, but your impact is much more effective. So are we talking, Golden, over quantity more so than quality?
100% quality all the way. If you want to build a digital legacy online, if you want to last beyond these trends and virality moments, you're going to want to really build your credibility. And it's all about the quality. Social proof matters because people trust what they see. And it's clarity on action that's being taken in that business, in that environment. And it shows receipts. It reduces doubt. It strengthens confidence. So it really helps investors and just like-minded clients and communities to come in and step into that world. And so most people are persuaded on the old traditional way of putting up money to get seen. However, there are so many free strategic ways to position yourself for that credibility online with data that we already have.
I find that fascinating. Carlos, do you agree or disagree with what Golden just expressed?
I agree. And to add on to that, I believe that we need to, before we ask for any money investors, we need to actually understand the industry we're in. Many times we have tons of data based on pre-existing people who experience information, mentors, and we go and learn the same thing they learn when you can actually do a shortcut, get the data you need, and know the industry you're in, what's required. So when you start being a scene, you can kind of know what's been done, not been done, and create your own path. Many times we like to copy somebody else's path. And I don't believe in copying anybody's path. I believe create your own narrative, your own path in the same industry, and create relationship with those people who support you. And they see you. Too many times, like I said, I don't want to be seen by everybody else. I want to be seen by people who see me. Because if you see me, I see you. We work together. But if you don't see me and I don't see you, there's a point of working together. And I believe in that. We have to work with people that see our vision, see our goals, see where we want to take our business, and that's what we work with. And also understand the industries and the information, what's been done, not been done, and what we can do to change the narrative and create our own narrative, our own story.
Yeah, I find that very fascinating. It's very interesting that you're talking about storytelling. You're talking about creating narrative. Golden's talking about social proof. I think a lot of that has to do in new age storytelling as well. Social proof certainly isn't a single variable equation. It's a multi-variable equation. It's stacked upon one another. I'm coming over you to Lauren and Dr. Morris, you're next. I start thinking about extension of reality itself, the capability to be able to bring people further into the virtual layer from the material layer to the virtual layer and the extension of a story itself when it comes to reality. And we have pioneers and those that are bringing people into new spaces that we've never been in. And we talk about establishing social proof so deep into this frontier that most people and so many other people that don't operate under the technological vernacular, they don't understand what it is that they're even interacting with now when it comes to the immensity and the capability of these tools that are just named overnight. And really being defined in real time. With that said, Lauren, I think about what you just said as having a master's degree in virtual reality. And we know that we're preparing to be able to engage and embark into a frontier that most people are unfamiliar with. And this is more than just entertainment and video games that you're involved with, but you're really serving as someone that bridges a gap between those who understand where they're at presently and don't understand the future forward is virtual. It is far more different from anything that we've ever interacted with. And I start thinking about the narrative of what Golden is expressing, and on the heels of Carlos, thinking about this social proof and establishment. Carlos talked about inbound opportunity. Are you able to see me? So in other words, how are we able to give better viability to people in this world and remove ourselves from the old traditional ways of viability to be seen and to bring them into new, different venues of moving forward when it comes to virtual settings and operations in this global world that we all share in?
Okay, great question. I really enjoyed listening to what Carlos had to say about like kind of knowing your purpose and putting that out there and defining your own path. And I think that's something that we're really blessed to have an opportunity to do so in our day and age, especially through social media. I imagine all of us are probably scattered throughout the world physically where we are. So being able to have a tool like LinkedIn where you can share projects that you've worked on and really align with your passion and purpose and get that out there, I think is really important. And yeah, as far as like creating opportunities, I think a lot of times we have to just kind of align ourselves with our own purpose. And a lot of times whenever we find something that we're really passionate about, we can use tools like virtual and augmented reality, because the limits that we have with these tools are really, they're unlimited. So you can make anything happen. You can defy gravity. You can create experiences that are fun, but also educational at the same time, and really build community and get people hooked. And again, you can do that with people all over the world in different time zones. And you can have a space where you feel present. So I think that these tools are something that is really going to create a breakthrough for everybody, and putting people out, allowing people to put their own passion out there, and work together with opportunities that they wouldn't have had 5 or 10 years ago.
I find that very fascinating, and thank you, Lauren, because you talked about a key Golden, just a standard of ours with GatherVerse when we talk about community development and establishment. I go on the heels of Golden talking about, again, that social proof, and then Carlos talking about identifiability and accessibility. Dr. Morris, we're coming in hot over to you on the heels of this, and I'm going to do my best to be able to string all what three speakers have already said so far. Social proof, identity, community. What do those mean in this world where we believe that we had to scale up so that the world can see us? But are we really wanting to be more viable to a selective few in the community that can see us and build with us? You know, something that's more intimate. I think the days of influencers as we know it, I think it's a dying breed. I think, and it's a way for scale. I think there's much more of an intimacy that needs to develop in community centricity. Am I looking at this right or wrong? Because if I see you for who you are and everybody's an influencer, then everybody has the same stats, the same figures, the same reputation. But where's the substance, that quality that Golden was talking about? It seems to me that only happens in more of an intimate setting when it comes to community. And I think that's best expressed in today's world globally of tribal identification when we start talking about the extension of the metaverse or extended reality. What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Morris?
I really think that it's super important for people to learn how to be their authentic selves. With social media, it allowed people to turn into who they thought others wanted them to be. And being in virtual reality has given the opportunity for, I know, my students and even myself to reimagine who I want to be for me and to authentically be who I need to be for the world. So, to be quite honest, it's not about how we position ourselves, it's that we were created for a purpose. We were created for to serve a particular group of humanity, and we need to stand in that. And so it's really important for people to be more accepting, more forgiving, more loving, more kind, not just to one another, but to themselves, and to understand that they are their brand, just how they are. And so you don't have to polish yourself up to be anybody other than yourself. And that's the key thing that's missing. So many people overlook their own authenticity as something that doesn't need to exist, but you wouldn't be uniquely you unless that was the case.
It seems to me, and as a follow-up, Dr. Morris, it takes a sufficient amount of courage to follow up, to be authentically courageous these days, to be able to break past the traditional norm that we've inherited in this amalgamation of social media scale. It seems to me that we'll need pioneers to exercise to be different for what it is that we've known or what we've been told we need to do by big tech, to be candid on how we need to present ourselves. It seems to me that authenticity is the way to go forward. What are the benefits and the value of that, Dr. Morris?
The benefits is that you have peace. You have peace, and then you can pursue your passions and the things that you really need to do with purpose, with vigor. And honestly, I think that I have outgrown a certain set of ideologies about who I'm expected to be in order to be accepted by you. I fervently believe that what is to come to you will be yours. And so when you become a beggar of something that you feel like you need to belong to, you also are at the heels and you're at the mercy of who they want you to be. So, yeah, big tech has a lot to offer, but all of the things that built up big tech were created by smaller innovators and inventors and people who were just as brilliant. And if you believe truly in your brand and your brilliance, then you have more than you even think you have to bring to the table, and you don't need to be a beggar.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Dr. Morris. We'll come back to you in just a little bit. Ian, we're headed over to you. We talk about, in some ways, freedom. This is what I'm getting from this panel, and innovation of innovating started within our own hearts and minds, if you will. I know, Ian, I've seen you express on many occasions at GatherVerse, and you often do speak with a certain liberty of expressing out loud the things that you're thinking and to make those transparent. And it seems that you do it without a care in the world for what people may perceive of what it is that you're taking in terms of approach. It's very unconventional, but I find in some ways inspiring that you take this path and approach. And I know that you're doing similar when it comes to education. What are your thoughts on all that's being said so far?
Oh, sorry. Today I think, can you just briefly ask me a question again, like with a simple sentence one more time? I'm sorry about that.
No, don't be sorry at all. When we talk about expressing, and I'll lean in further with this, expressions, we talk about this communication. I kind of go back to what Golden's talking about in terms of tribal identification, and Carlos is talking about as well in community development. Inherently, why is that so important, Ian, when we start to talk about these things to be viable? We talk about viability, but accepted with this viability, and that it's okay to be your authentic self of who you are, who you're going to be. It seems to me that this is a better approach strategically than what we've been attempting to be able to achieve and become discoverable to people that they don't want to see you, and they may not appreciate what it is that they see if they do see you.
Right. I think, as you mentioned, and also, I think I'm kind of this sort of like unseen businessman and also educator for lots of reasons. And I think I've been sort of like politically alienated. So in this kind of situation, it is extremely hard for me to attract people's attention to establish a business, no matter how valuable it is. So I really think that this sort of like online community could be one of the best ways to get out of this sort of circumstance. But recently, thanks to this sort of like online community, like a GatherVerse and LinkedIn like community and the people there that I have met, I think I also have got some like domestic support within this country, and also some political figures have approached me as well. So in this sense, I think like politics is very important. I think 80% of business is about politics. So if you are alienated from like this sort of like political, the community, it is really almost impossible to achieve a great impact on the world. So I think, I think that's how we can make a big deal, like together. So we need a public support, especially from the governmental figures or governmental bodies. I think that's what I can say. Yeah,
it's very fascinating. I think a few years ago, most people would have scoffed at that idea, but I think that we find ourselves in a world of ideas that are really in some ways prolific. That we're seeing so many different contributions to creativity that's harvested by both human and machine. I find that very interesting, Ian. We'll come back to you in a moment. Orestes, we're coming in hard over you. I think about, as from a founder position, I'm sure that you can appreciate it, as well as all the different people that are with us at GatherVerse.live that are founders, entrepreneurs, and how difficult it can be to be able to maintain the integrity of what it is that you've developed, whether by yourself, which truly no one can do it alone, can they? Or with others that are part of with you in this journey that you find yourself in entrepreneurship, and still have a sense of managing your livelihood, if I could put it like that. What are some of the challenges that you find with being a founder? I feel like this is the authentic hour. And the reason I'm talking about this certainly does talk about when we talk about the need to want to be able to sustain these and fund all the many different people that call themselves founders and entrepreneurs, because they literally are at a precedent of frontier innovation to where we need to understand what we're funding, who we're funding, and why we're funding and why it's so critically important to really put capital towards these innovations and frontier of what we're going to need to be able to move forward as a society. This is not just about making billions of dollars as a unicorn. I believe we're now at the importance, Orestes, of funding founders so that we can sustain on this earth. Because with AI so capable of doing the many things that other people can do, we have better start to see what else is next on the horizon.
All right. To start with, each individual faces challenges in their own matrix. Many founders found themselves in having brilliant ideas that they have validated through their academic journey or not by investors meetings, and they might run into lack of funds, and they might follow different paths to gain these funds for their survivals in the first place, which is food, essential, and paying rent, and your taxes, your tax obligations, and all these basic needs that you have to cover in order to be functionable and able to be innovative. Being a founder that I've seen myself growing from a kid and now returning back to my hometown and seeing the level of my neighborhood, that it used to be a nice neighborhood, but due to geopolitical changes and crisis in Greece, I see my neighborhood was ghettoified. I've seen a lot of criminality. So I see that I came from a neighborhood that now is considered in the era and the spectrum of vulnerable teams that they have became founders. The main challenge is that some founders face, they cannot identify their hero's journey and what is their purpose in building truthful and innovation based on trust, resilience, and also fair data distribution, touching and domains that they haven't been touched before, having a diverse background that somehow makes the venture capitals, brings chaos to the capitals and the investors, the future investors. And they might think that they're too creative for me. A lot of challenges that hopefully when a founder overcomes them and presents them in the marketing platforms to gain traction and also leverage funds later in a bigger journey of the journey. Yeah, like each individual has her own story to tell regarding the challenges.
Thank you, Orestes. I really appreciate that. Judith, we're coming over to you. I'm listening intently to what Orestes has said, as well as all the other speakers that are speaking today at GatherVerse Money Summit 2025. I think about, from your position, Judith, you're a trainer, you're an educator, you teach, you guide people towards the next steps in the beautiful country of Nigeria. And when I think about the task and the challenge for our educators, I continue to say more and more that in many respects, especially with those that are of technologists, that technologists are needed to become educators now and to be able to teach, such as Dr. Morris. I think she's one of the best examples, certainly in the world that I know of extended reality of a technologist that is an educator. That's an incredible power and a strength. And those are the people I think that we need to fund and support, that can lead towards greater societal benefit of being able to unlock the imagination of understanding of the true potential that every individual has latent inside them to be able to contribute towards the overall betterment of society itself. And Judith, in what ways does the work that you do help enhance this narrative that we're talking about now?
All right. So, thing is, when most people come for trainings, especially for the communication trainings, there's always something that they need. Right? They want to improve with their communications at their jobs. And just like Golden said, most times people want to learn more about the quantity, but they don't want to work more to get down on the quality. Sorry. So what I do in order to help people become who they're supposed to be, attract investments, is to first off understand. They have to first off understand why exactly they are doing what they are doing. Right. I'll give you an example with communication. Most times people come to me with the complaints, I'm trying to attract investors, but I feel like I'm not great at speaking, I'm not great at communications, and I believe I haven't still bridged that gap. So I'd first off have some what's it called, the needs analysis, help them understand what exactly it is they need. Most people they know what they want, but they don't even know how to start to get it. So I'd try to bridge that gap for them, help them understand their needs, help them to, yes, craft a curriculum for them, help them understand how to speak better so they can attract investors, investments. And the truth is, for most of these investors, they still don't understand that the overlooked they normally still go for the shining objects, forgetting that the overlooked are where the real impact is, where the social benefits are. And they always base it off of the immediate financial benefits. And I normally tell them to incorporate the ESG. Now, what does ESG mean? It's environmental, social, and governmental metrics, whereby they track the performance on social benefits, jobs created, healthcare, and all that. So I tell people that before you try to attract investors, you have to ask yourself, am I actually impacting the indigenous people? How am I impacting them socially, environmentally,
Sure.
healthcare wise, and all of that? So help them
Sure.
understand that you cannot just learn communication and then you're pitching to someone who already has like 20 or 25 years of experience in what they're doing. They will think you're bullshitting them. Excuse my French. So I normally tell people you have to understand what it is you want and be sure you're impacting indigenous people. Most people they're just trying to impact the surface level people, the rich part of the society. I normally tell people if you're into healthcare, go for mobile healthcare, whereby you move from the, because most times for healthcare in places like Africa as a continent, the hospitals are normally far from where the villages and the towns are. So I normally tell people when you um, incorporate the mobile healthcare, that way you move equipment from like the ones that are movable to people's homes. You test them, check their BPs, check their sugar level and all of that. By doing that alone, you don't even need anybody you don't even need to beg people to invest. They're seeing what you're doing, and they would advocate for you even before you speak for yourself. And I tell people to adopt the impact framework. Okay, I already
let's
talked about
let's
that.
let's 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 stop there for a second. We're going to come back to that, Judith, because I think you left on something that I think is critically important when you talk about what Carlos was talking about, visibility. Are you able to see me? And I think that's a very, very strong point you just made, Judith, about your disposition and how you carry yourself, what you go about, and what's the impact that you make around you. And maybe we need to consider, Golden, that we our own selves are our best marketing campaigns when it comes to what it is that we do into communicating with other people outside of the limited circles that we find ourselves in, to be able to ascertain towards more opportunities. Uh, where does this matter and why does this matter, Golden, when it comes to really self-brand equity in business? I think we just lost you, Golden. So, Carlos, won't you pick that up for me, will you?
And again, so I can read it clearly.
Yeah, so when we talk about viability and self-brand equity and discoverability, and what Judith is talking about, the work that you're doing, when you're doing a certain type of work, and when you carry this certain type of work, what it allows you to become more viable and more visible towards those that can appreciate your impact to society. Why is this important?
I
How
believe
do
it's,
we start that? How do we create ourselves to be seen beyond traditional means and methods?
I believe value. Everything has value. Stock market, businesses, services, all value based. You know, we chase money and we chase profit. We don't chase value. And value is everything. And so I believe I'm a firm believer when we invest in when our product brings value to certain individuals, companies, partners, collaborations, we tend to win after that because value is key. We forget value, and value is everything. how would such value my service? What value are they getting out of my service? If we partner together, Chris, as we speak as partners, when I speak, when I think about it, what can I say and bring on a platform that can help other people grow? It's not just about me. And when we finally move ourselves out the picture and we look at the full picture and value, then we can now start to see what everything looks like. But many times we're so focused on ourselves because we've been culturally, even in the United States, across the globe, media, we've been taught how to just focus on ourselves, what we want, what we get. It's all about us, me, I. But reality, the world doesn't operate like that. It's a collective society. And so when you think of the value concept, value is essential core for me in everything. What value do I get? What value do I bring? What value do you bring? What value do we all bring? We all bring a level of value from life experiences. And that's what matters, collective value. So when we look at that, value is key. What value do you bring in your service, partnerships, products,
Sure.
anything? And also, and I'm gonna make this has hit. What value can you work together? Many times, a lot of us do the same thing. So what happens is we're all fighting for the same pie instead of coming together. So what can we? And we all have a strong. And too many times we all have a strong value we bring. So how do we come together as a collective with our strongest value as a collective body and grow that together? Because as many founders, you can do for one thing great. We all do one thing great and come together. Now we have a collective value where we can grow better as a collective versus as individuals and give more opportunities and attract more investors. And I believe that value is key.
With Carlos, how do we tap into that value, Golden? We'll bring that over to you. Carlos talks about value. We talk about inherent value. How does a founder, because it was already said here, most people know where they want to go. They know how to get there. But at the self-same admittance that founders don't completely understand what it is that they're really going for. They just want to become a founder. They want to have a unicorn. They want to build, but they don't really think about the social inheritance and the social responsibility that comes with being a founder when it comes to scale. But ultimately, I start thinking about what Carlos is saying as far as inherent value. How can you determine the value that you contribute and that you bring along with your innovations and what you're building? How do we tap into that, Golden? Your mic is muted.
Sorry. Interesting to bring up because how I work with my clients is actually put them through a mindset training. A lot of people love entrepreneurship. They want to be founders, but they don't actually understand the phases that they have to go through. And outside of that, they don't actually understand who they are as a person. So we always bring it back to the mindset. We always bring it back to what is their legacy, right? Everyone here has a legacy. Everyone here has a path, a purpose, and we need to reward systems that reduce harm. We need to reward companies and founders that create generational stability. And so we need to reward leaders who think beyond a funding round into long-term stewardships. And so a founder can hold value in that space, understanding that it's the choices that they make that build their business and position themselves onto paths and communities that require their service and offer, which is ultimately something that will benefit or solve a challenge in that market. So we have to name legacy as a measurable outcome, not a soft value, but a very heavy one. What are founders' values? What are their mindset? What is their legacy ultimately? How do they want to leave people behind, right? Why are they on this path? And legacy is a strategy. When investors see it in that way, founders' values shift when they actually hold a legacy inside of them.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Golden. I think about legacy, me personally, and this is just me personally, I could care less. I think so many people have really, in some ways, have bastardized the old word of legacy. It almost feels like a Scarface movie as far as what it is that I've ascertained to in life, instead of residually thinking about the impact of we talk about a carbon footprint. What's your impact footprint? I tend to look at it like that if I hear the word legacy and how I would interpret that to be under the banner. So thank you for expressing that. Dr. Morris, you certainly know about impact in the work that you do and what you residually are giving to your students. You've been around long enough to see those that have been under your tutelage go out into this world and do incredible things, and some may not do much at all. What does that feel like from the purpose of the educator? Does that realign and make you double down on the work that you're doing, or is it disheartening to see that the ones that are under your tutelage may not go in the direction that you want? Or do you celebrate their agency and autonomy, no matter the destination they find themselves in?
I support my students through every stage. I am committed to their growth. I'm committed to molding their minds. And I don't believe that anyone takes missteps that cannot be redirected back to their full purpose. So for me, I'm in the trenches with my students. I'm in the trenches with my children. I'm in the trenches with other people who are under my wing. It makes every long night worth it. It makes every tear I've cried worth it. It makes me, as a little girl who never missed a homework assignment, it makes those long hours and 24 hours a day worth of work and labor and toil worth it. So for me, my students know that they always have access to me, even beyond their degree, even beyond their ability to have sat in my classroom. I literally can reach out to 10 to 12 students that are in every phase of their own professional life and journey, including my own children who have had to venture into entrepreneurship because they've lost a job, or who's had to bet on themselves in ways because other systems have let them down. And my job and my role as an educator is to always encourage, is to always lift up, is to always see the part of them that is great so that they'll understand how to lean into their potential. Everyone has purpose. Nothing is wasted here.
It's very powerful. You know, Ian, I think about everyone has purpose and nothing is wasted here. You talk about the need for maybe a social contract for the good of community, for people to come together. What are we arriving for now? And why is it more important than ever before for us to be able to have community in settings like GatherVerse and more? Ian?
Okay, oh, sorry. So yeah, so like I mean, so it's been hard for me to find good opportunities for so long, and then and I have thought about the justice. What is justice in terms of capital allocation? And I think this is very clear. This is very clear. So I mean, being given sufficient opportunities, to receive capital, I think that that ultimately determines what we call justice. So in that sense, many business founders or entrepreneurs.
Wait, Ian, before we go there, I want you to address the question that I put forth, not just the one that's on screen. What is the inherent importance of community, and why are we arriving together for? What is the importance of this right now in this present time?
All right. I mean,
Here, I want you to take some time to think about that for a second. I do want to come back to you and address that. Lauren, I'm going to ask you the same question since you're the one that invoked it and why it's important. And there's something that I'm getting to. It's something that I'm getting to is that we talk about the difficulties of what it takes to be able to financially raise capital. And a lot of people are going to the places where they're not going to give you capital. I think many people come here to Silicon Valley, go to Sand Hill Road and say, that's where I'll get my money because I have a deck and a good idea, or I have adoption, traction, and scalability, and I'm multinational with my product. But that's not even enough now for you to be able to procure, pass into a seed round. The whole notion and the idea of a pre-seed in some ways is very limited and limited scope to very small verticals that would fund in such ways. Most investors want to fund Series A and higher. Here's the point that I'm getting at. The inherent need for community and the sense of identity and accessibility is what I'm getting at, is what it is that I'm thinking is what we want to come to the conclusion of this panel. Lauren, you talked about community. We talked about the need for that and the capability. And I believe that we're heading into a space sooner rather than later. Dr. Morris works in this space of virtual existence. And Lauren, you got a master's degree in this. You're well-traveled around the world. This is the work you do. Why and what is the benefit of us coming together when it comes to community?
People need community. People need places where they can vibe with people who are like-minded like they are. It keeps you encouraged. It keeps you from your own demise. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you humble and it keeps you hungry. But people need other people. We need each other's ideas. We need forums like this to be able to bounce ideas off of. We need to know that we're not alone. When you are trying to really rewrite history as we are, and you're trying to really overcome oppressive systems that exist, especially when it comes to money, funding, and the people who have and do not have. It's a lot. I mean, you can't really compete in a place where you don't have a collective. It's hard to compete with a
Sure.
system that has existed for generations. They were putting money in Swiss banks in the 1940s when there wasn't even real good air transportation. So imagine what you're up against when it comes to just being able to sustain your own local community or your own household. We're talking about people don't even have money to go and buy eggs in the store
But what
versus
makes
people who
but
are looking for millions of dollars.
But what makes this time so different, Dr. Morris, and I have to say, and I agree on both sides of the coin that you've just flipped. What makes it so different, Lauren, is that we no longer have to be relegated to the communities that are right in front of us, if you will.
Correct.
Global virtual connectivity, Lauren, I believe is the next step forward, and that's part of the idea is for us to be able to find such democratized access, not with tools, but with humans, with people, with the opportunity to be able to get to know one another in ways we never have. And within that, could there be a buy-sell trade ecosystem that manifests within that particular vertical setting in community?
I think that community is super important because like we are inspired by each other, and community, having friends that support you and can bounce ideas off of each other is important, because that's how we move from like one space to another, and we're inspired by different resources and virtual spaces. And we can see when our friends and the people that love us and want to see us succeed really have good ideas and can help us kind of branch out of our own thinking. And I think a lot of times whenever you are surrounded by people that are also doing really cool things, it forces you to grow. And yeah, like Doctor was saying as before, we just are going to be kind of moving on a hamster wheel if we're in this alone. Like this community is going to forward by bouncing ideas off of each other and going to different spaces and showing each other that we're excited about these new exciting technologies, because everything's moving so fast. And you can scroll on LinkedIn all day long, but really whenever you're going to grow and be inspired is by having people that you really have connected with virtually and in person. And I think one of the greatest things about this community is that we go to conferences and stuff like that, and that's always a lot of fun and good to feel the sense of community in person. But now that we have spaces like VR chat or GatherVerse, we can then continue these relationships and continue growing them online. So it's moving the ball forward isn't something that we can all do alone. So I think that having like a sense of teamwork and being inspired by people that are also on the edge of the cutting edge of technology is important.
Thank you very much, Lauren. We really appreciate that. Ian, very briefly, what is the sense of the value of community to Ian?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about sharing it, right? Caring, right? We're helping each other, and then we get insights, and we feel supported, and even I think I wanted to talk about this. So from the perspective of God, like private sectors exist to make the world much faster than so unlike public sectors, private sectors must create lots of impact on the world. That's why private sector exists. That's why, and also like the successful business owners would be the ones who could contribute to the community, and then who can make them more affluent. Then you deserve acquiring lots of investment as well. So in that sense, I've been always honored to sharing ideas and then getting insights from you guys.
Thank you, Ian. I think you just manifested and expressed it, the part of the value of community. Orestes, I would ask the same of you. Carlos, the same of you. Judith, and then Golden will end with you. But Orestes, very quickly, what is the sense of value of community for Orestes, and what does that mean for everyone else that shares this community with you?
I mean, if you think about historically, people has always have been working together in communities, and they have like noted societal progress. When more specifically, when we're talking about GatherVerse, the sense of community and the sense of trust has built through having these interactive conversations, and has empowered me to continue my journey, which I think it's the win of having this type of communities, that they empower creators that they can later
Sure.
empower with their own inventions, the betterment of mankind. So I think it's very crucial, the collaboration as a path for disruptive transformation, as well active dialogues throughout these communities.
Thank you, Orestes. We appreciate it. Carlos, you talked about wanting to be seen. How can we be seen? Are you able to see me? An inbound opportunity. When you're a community, what do we see?
Well, we see what I would say that when it comes to community, we see what we allow ourselves to see. Like we control our own perception, we can control what we see in vision, we control everything. And many times we say, "What don't they see?" So when I know I control what I see, then in reality, what do I want you to see? That's the key. And a lot of times we don't know that until we get certain life experiences. And so I'm a firm believer in understanding that to be seen means to be unseen by many, but seen by the right people, which lines with value, alignment, who you are, who they are, moral values. Because, like I said, we don't realize that just like investors, we all invest. When I look at us, we're all investors in our own business. We're also working to connect with investors who want to invest in our business. And so, reality, we're all investors. So when you understand that, look at things from an investor state of mind. If I want somebody to invest $1 million into my business, what is the mind of that person or the investor who's going to invest in $1 million in my business? What's their mind like? When we focus on the profile of the investor, the personnel, do we align? Do we connect? Can we talk about business? Can we talk more than an hour, 2, 3 hours? Because now it's not just about the money. It's about we're true partners, long term, and you have to have respect to the investor to realize that what their values are for our values, and do they realign? And I think when you start to line up realign values with investors, from me being an investor to you being an investor, from my company to your company, now we can start to get real solutions and create real value and real solution, because now we align. Because it's easy to take somebody's money, but the question is, if I have to adhere to how you see me, and you don't see, how you see me, and you don't see what I'm capable of, my personnel or my personality, and you don't allow me to have the creativity to create value to grow the company, then that can hinder the growth of the company. So it's all about assuring that we both see the same value and have respect of each other and value each other as much as possible. Say we're partners in business,
Sure.
not investor. Because once you invest in my business, we're partners after that.
Thank you, Carlos. Mutual value. That's really picked up. Thank you for sharing that. Judith, please, briefly, community. You guide people, you teach people, you educate people, you do this. But what do they want? What do you want them to benefit? What's the benefit extract from community? Let's be brief, please.
All right. Community to me as an executive communications coach is a cornerstone of authentic leadership. Now, I've actually trained some executives, I've worked with founders, CEOs, and I believe strongly that community enables these leaders to hear diverse perspectives. They understand what is what and why some people think the way they do, especially for people that are trying to get investments, investors. And it challenges their assumptions and refines their message with clarity and impact. And it also helps them to understand that vulnerability or trying to tell your story, it does not mean you're weak. It means you're trying to be relatable. It means you're trying to get other people to understand where you're coming from and hopefully tap into your story and hopefully get an investment. But if not, of course, in the future, there's aside investors, I mean, most founders that I've worked with never got investors or investments. It's just from the sales, from the services they render, from the products they sell. So I normally tell them not everybody is destined to get an investment and all of that. So community, what I do for them is to remind them that the beginning and the end of your business is not about investors or investments. It's about understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's it.
Thank you, Judith. That's really heartfelt in so many different ways. I certainly wish we had the minutes to go the distance of what you said, but sadly we don't. Golden, I'm bringing it over to you to be able to make a hard close, because I want to be able to unpack all this in just an ounce of a second given. We talk about all the different things that we've expressed today, and a lot of that is imbued or encircled in community development and centricity. We talk about mutual value of one another and the benefit and the gain of that. We talk about how we as founders, what we contribute, will actually create a beacon so bright, more so, especially when it comes to societal human betterment and impact, more so than a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign. I believe that could actually produce. We talked about authenticity. We talked about the need to be able to grow. We talked about listening and community. We talked about all these things and what's sustainable. And we also talked about investors. And it seems to me that the lesson I'm learning here, and I'd like to know your lesson that you've gained, Golden, as you lead us to the end of this incredible roundtable, is it seems to me that we search for investors and we look for these strangers with people with big pockets and big pillowcases stuffed with cash and big checks to be able to write. But it seems the best investors are the ones that can see us, the ones that are with us, the ones that are our community. I think the investment of the heart may get us further in these times to come than the investment in the bank. And I think in order to do that successfully, Golden, when we talk about our brand, I think it's so important for people to know when we step in community with one another, who is Golden? Who is Dr. Morris? Who's Lauren? Who's Carlos? Who's Judith? Who's Ian? Who's Orestes? Who are these people? What does their story say? And I believe that a brand positioned well will communicate all that and tell that story. But it seems the most important ingredient of a brand positioned well is authenticity. Am I missing something here, Golden?
I would actually add to that beautiful explanation to how founders can get access to money, funding, and to boost their sales and expand their business. Number one thing is to become more aware of the opportunities that exist in the present moment, and think about who you are, where you want to be. And the key there is understanding how to get there. And that's where a lot of clouds come in when founders want to go on this journey of growth. They don't really understand the how to get there. And as you mentioned, it's the community, it's the awareness of who you are, your branding. But I would love to really put the pin in the balloon, as you say, wake people up. It's how you position yourself. Really audit where you are now and where you want to be, and learn how can you position yourself into the spaces you want to be most successful in. Who do you want to follow? Who's already there in those rooms? And really align yourself with those characteristics first, not necessarily the funding, the sales and things like that, but the characteristic is going to get you in those rooms, because ultimately you are the driver of your success. You're driving yourself to that bank, to that destination, to that outcome of whatever that is you're building. It's you. So when you peel off the layers of lack, scarcity, doubt, fear, inauthenticity, and then you really drive forward into the destination you want to be in and position yourself and put yourself in those spaces that maybe you feel inadequate in, however you belong in, I want you to really focus on those steps and the path you take to get there. And that's what's key. And that's what positioning is all about. It's not necessarily about marketing ads and influencer and trending. It's about who you are, where you want to be, and how you're strategically going to work every single day, every moment to put yourself into that position.
Thank you so much, Golden. Thank you so much, Roundtable. Thank you for your expressions. Audience, please take time to follow these different leaders, these visionaries, these people that are on a pioneer path. It's been so well to be able to sojourn with you. Believe it or not, this is one of the most favorite roundtables. I've moderated hundreds of roundtables with GatherVerse This is absolutely one of my most very heartfelt roundtables we've ever had. I have learned a lesson from each of you. I take it with me, Ian. I take it with me, Lauren. I take it with me, Avery. I take it with me, Dr. Morris, Golden, Judith, Carlos, dear Orestes. Please take care. Our gather was well. And when we meet each other again, may our gather be well.
Goodbye.
Take care. Bye-bye.